It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? Today is Wednesday. It is April 2nd. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for joining me on today's show. Today, we are talking about what Ryan Grubb said on Yay, Alabama. He had a couple good sound bites. If you haven't checked out Yay, Alabama, I suggest you go over there. Check it out. It's a pretty lengthy interview. It's nothing like earth-shattering, but they do have these inside interviews with the coaches. So I know there's a million different things to sign up for. Check it out. But look, I love me some Ryan Grubb. I've already explained why many times that I feel that Alabama football takes a step forward this season, and a lot has to do with this man right here. So, like I said, nothing earth-shattering, but if you're into that sort of stuff and you want to consume every single piece of information, it's worth checking out. I appreciate you guys joining me this morning. Let's give some shout-outs, and let's see where everybody's checking in from. I appreciate you guys rolling in early this morning. The meat of the show will be about Greg McElroy on the quarterback position, right? He says that he feels that, what he's hearing from Tuscaloosa, Alabama is that Ty Simpson's guy. Again, it's like nothing that it's not earth-shattering information, but I want to gauge your pulse, and we'll talk about a couple other things today on the show. Good morning, Herman. What's up, man? Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. North Alabama Storm Chase says thoughts and prayers to those in high-risk areas today. Yeah, I saw there's a lot of storms in Arkansas, Missouri, West Tennessee, 100%. Anita, what's up? Good morning to you. I appreciate it. Max Tooney always checking in. Rocket Town, good morning to you. Southern Red, good morning. I appreciate you guys being here this morning. We got Sean up in the house. What's up, Sean? Good to see you, bro. Alex, my boy, man. What's up? How you doing this Wednesday, April 2nd? It's crazy that B-Rob's like, give me Ty Simpson. Just end it. It's crazy that we're already in April, right? I don't want to scare anybody, but the transfer portal's coming. What is it? 11 days away, transfer portal comes. You got Alabama's practice in front of, I guess it's A-Day. I guess we'll call it A-Day practice. Jonathan, what's up, man? Good morning. Ricky Smith, slow start. Get fired up, man. All right. A couple of things to cruise by before we come back to Ryan Grubb. I'll tie it all in together, like we always do right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Hell with Auburn. Oh, I love this. This is cool. I like that avatar. That's what's up. Carlos is like, instead of listening to Greg, we should listen to Ryan Grubb. Yeah. So, and I'll get to what Grubb kind of high-pointed with the Yay Alabama interview here in just a second. Couple of pieces of news to go over. So you have Marshall Pritchett, who is out the remainder of spring football. I mean, there's only a couple practices left anyways, but I guess he suffered some sort of injury earlier this week. I think that'd be the second injury that he's had this, first quarter, because I think he had a, shoulder or something like that. I have no idea what happened, but the expectation, according to Bama 247, is that he should be back 100% by fall. Look, Marshall Pritchett, I've told you guys we don't talk a lot about tight ends, but, it's a slim group right now. I like Marshall Pritchett. I mean, I think 6'6", I think he came in, 220 pounds or something like that. So I was wondering if he could maybe float wide receiver, but he's put on a ton of weight. So he's 200 and close to 40 pounds. No, I like it. He's got good size, good speed. I loved his highlight tape. This is probably one of the more underrated prospects that I think Alabama got out of the transfer portal to the class of 2025. One of those lower level guys that you didn't really think about. So here's the literally, and that's something that Coach Kalen DeBoer talked about as well. I was going to talk about some Val Kilmer in just a second. Let me pause this. But the tight end room right now, and this is even what Coach Kalen DeBoer said. He's like, a lot of people feel we're not having a game because of, the transfer portal. I think a little bit of that is true, but he's like, we're limited on numbers. Like a lot of guys right now are limited or out or whatever, so can't necessarily fill an entire 1 versus 1A. Max Tooney's saying, yeah, a lot of people are really high on Marshall Pritchett. I'm serious. So these are the tight ends that you have to work with at this point in time that are on scholarship type players. Josh Cuevas, Jay Lindsey, Caleb Edwards. I mean, it's a small group. You see what I'm saying? lot of people really excited about what Josh Cuevas is bringing to the table. So, thoughts and prayers, and hopefully Marshall Pritchett can come up, to full speed sooner than later. How about this? This was sad, all right? This got in my feels a little bit. You got Val Kilmer passes away at the age of 65. Iceman and Top Gun, man, it's one of my favorite movies, right? I love Top Gun. I must have watched I still watch Top Gun. Still, like today. And you know what? Maverick, the newer Top Gun, I love that movie too. And Val Kilmer was in that, of course. He had throat cancer, unfortunately. But I was thinking, he was also in Tombstone. So for those of you that like Westerns, I love a good Western. He's in Tombstone, Batman Forever, right? I like that Batman. Oh, man, that was terrible. I don't know, what the final cause for him to pass away, but I know he was battling throat cancer. That's why he had the series or the parts in Maverick where he couldn't speak. But, man, that's sad. This is one of my favorite parts, too, of all movie scenes at the end, right? When Iceman is like, you're still dangerous, but you can be my wingman any day. And Tom Cruise, Maverick's like, no. You can be my wingman. So Tombstone was fire, too. I love Tombstone, love Maverick, and Top Gun. But really sad news. 65. Shoot. Sad stuff. All right. As we move on. Yesterday, Kirby Smart went on a rant, talking kind of about the where college football is at this point in time, kind of the transfer portal and stuff. He said this is a quote. He says, "There's stuff going on right now, guys in college football. There's like agents kind of reaching out to, this is crazy, reaching out to coaching staffs and saying, look, let's have a Zoom call and present all the players that they represent that are on teams, including maybe his team." This is what Kirby Smart said recently at a practice. So basically, agents, or like, I guess his agents are reaching out to coaches and be like, hey, we're going to have a whole list of players that are going to hit the transfer portal. So Kirby Smart's like, well, what if some of those players that you're presenting are on my team? I guess it'd give you an opportunity to try to rework their contracts or whatever. I don't know. This is how off the rails college football is. And he goes on to talk about a couple of other things, but can you imagine getting an email from an agent and it has like a whole list of players that are about to hit the portal? Man, college football is crazy. In fact, Georgia, and just like Alabama as well, said that they're going to put around, I guess, because of this House versus NCAA settlement, $20 million. But Georgia, they're going to put 75% of that $20 million towards football, 15% to basketball, 5% to women's basketball, and 5% to other sports. Man. Greg Byrne recently, in an interview with I think the Will Kane show, I think I saw Rodak put that. But if you want to read a really good interview, I think Mike Rodak has a lengthy article on what Greg Byrne said to the Will Kane what Greg Byrne said to the Will Kane show. Yeah. And that Texas is putting like an extra, 200 scholarships on board, and Alabama's only putting 40, and there's like still this big discrepancy between, the powers that be that have the most money. It's overwhelming. I don't know what's going to happen to some of these smaller sports in the future, because these sports don't even make money to begin with. Like the only other program that made a little bit of money other than football was basketball. That was it. All the other programs, like, think about this. Softball. It's so fun to watch softball. They're in the red. Every other sport is in the red. So how are you going to pay not only the coaches, big time coaches? You have to continue to invest in like Nate Oates. You have to continue to invest in your football coaches. But if those other programs, they're requiring $20 million for your program to pay the players and all this other stuff, man, I don't know what's going to happen with college football, college sports in the future. I don't know. All right, this was good, and I'm going to tie this in, and now I'm kind of getting into what Greg McElroy was talking about earlier. But before that, Yale Alabama has a sit-down interview, and they have these interviews, a couple of them. Again, it's not like earth-shattering stuff, but it's interesting. I'm trying to consume as much as I can because, we talk about it every single day. So here we go. A couple high points from the interview. It's like an 18-minute interview. Ryan Grubb says at one point during the interview, he says, it's so important to recruit your own roster and make sure that the players that are on your own roster, that they understand that Alabama is the best place for them right now and in the future for their development. I love that. That's 100% true. You have to re-recruit your own roster. And think about this. Unfortunately, these college football coaches have to do it during the bowl season. After spring football, you have to re-recruit your guys. That's got to be just so stressful for guys to be coming in right now at this point in time. You haven't even had spring football. I'm sure players are having conversations with the coaches about their spot. That's why they can't really release like a depth chart or talk about where any players are going to be, because then the players are going to bounce on April 15th. He also talked about the fact that he knows Coach Sheridan, knows Jamarcus Shepard, and some of the other coaches, so those relationships are there. So you don't have to have those hard moments of miscommunication because you've already had those in the past. We got a super chat in. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. Tied for life, bro. Thank you so much, man, for the $1 super chat. But he talks about the quarterback position. I'm going to get into what Greg McElroy said in here in just a minute, but he said that they had a very similar situation at Washington and that they didn't name a quarterback during the springtime. So that tells me that they're not going to name a quarterback during spring. Duh. Nobody said that they're going to, right? But he basically said that they had this exact situation in 2022. So I went in and I actually looked at the depth chart that they released. I think this was in August of 2022. And see what they did here? They have a junior, Michael Penix Jr. So basically it was saying that Dylan Morris, who Ryan Grubb said is here at Alabama, Dylan Morris, Michael Penix Jr., that these guys were battling all spring. And what they did was they didn't name the starter in the spring, but rather in August, closer to the first game of the season. Gregory, what's up, man? I appreciate you being here. So then I was thinking about it. Ty's a junior, Austin's a sophomore, and Keelan is a freshman. But what Ryan Grubb really did is he stressed the fact about competition and how it made that group particularly better. Most importantly, Michael Penix Jr., it boosted him and it helped the team. So they've been here before, and you literally have a junior, sophomore, and a true freshman on the roster before. So these coaches have been through it. They put the guy that was best for the job as the quarterback. So I would imagine, they're not going to name the quarterback this spring. So you already know that. But Greg McElroy, people, right? Look, the poll says 81% says that we believe Greg McElroy on the quarterback situation. I think, Greg McElroy, obviously super connected, works for ESPN, does a really great job. Huge platform. And I think Josh Pate, who's, even higher, I think the biggest, college football analyst that there is right now, I think that he's even said he's heard that Ty Simpson is going to be the guy. We like that. We appreciate that because and I don't think it's about entitlement. I don't think that it's been because he's here. I think that right now he's the best guy suited for the job. And we want that. Plain and simple, we want the best quarterback to play here at the University of Alabama. It's that simple, right? Sully's like same story, different season. I think that what has made this such a compelling story, and you've probably heard this before, but it's because that Ty Simpson didn't get meaningful reps last year. So that led us to believe somehow that he wasn't qualified for the job. Maybe he just wasn't qualified for the job last year. Now he's qualified for the job. I don't know. Jordan Bradley. Only reason I believe Greg is because Keelan was the only quarterback without a green dot on his helmet during those spring vids. Interesting. Nice point out. So the green dot is basically taking the communication from the offensive coordinator. I would imagine he's hearing those too, Jordan, though. I appreciate you being here, man. So I think, and kind of, if you rewind back to last season, when we were, or when was it? Was it the Great Cake Bake-Off? I think Greg McElroy has been pulling for Ty Simpson for a little bit, saying that he's capable to be the guy, right? I don't think this is the first time that Greg McElroy has said that Ty Simpson is going to be the guy. So here we are. By the way, Alabama has practice today. They have 3 practices this week. They'll be practicing today. They're actually probably finished up with practice here now in about 15 minutes, and then they have a scrimmage on Friday. So that's where we are, from Greg McElroy, somebody who's completely dialed in, has keys at the program, and of course, other major college football analysts, much bigger than me, have said the same thing about Ty Simpson. I'm going to love it when we get to the actual season and you see just a offense that is fluid with a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterback, similar weapons at wide receiver. Ryan Grubb did hit on the fact that there are going to be some position battles that need to shake out on the offensive line. We know that. How many points per game do you think Alabama scores this season? Oh, excuse me. I had to hit the Red Bull today. I don't remember there was a time where I was drinking Red Bulls and I cut back. This is like my first Red Bull. This is my first Red Bull this month. How many points do you think Alabama scores per game? How many points per game? Over 40? I'm thinking it's got to be 40. Bama boy chimes in. Ty is a 5-star. Can run like the wind. B-Rob's like, no shade at Milrow, but Ty can't be worse than Milrow. North Alabama saying 48 points per game. Max, I like how dialed in you guys are. I mean, over 30 is kind of like that's easy. I think they got to hit over 40. Chad saying, look at Chad. Get on Chad's train. 55. Rich B's just like straight up Roll Tide. I think it's got to be somewhere over 40 points. I think that is kind of the bar with the amount of talent. Like if they're not averaging over 40 points per game, something's going wrong. That would be, I would be completely shocked if it's not 40 points per game. And that, I don't even think that's pressure. I think with the amount of talent that you have on this team, it's like you're going to put points in the end zone, period. Bama boy. Oh, I love that avatar. I can see it zoomed in on the screen. He said Byron, Tyler Booker, said that they couldn't bench Milrow because he was early in and out and late and he held the team together. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll find out one day kind of like the true behind the scenes stuff, but all right, CD, what's up, man? Basically, Greg McElroy said that he's hearing out of Tuscaloosa that Ty Simpson has a firm command on the number 1 spot at the quarterback position. And then I polled, I was like, do we believe Greg McElroy in the quarterback situation? 82% are saying yes. I've said that as well. I mean, I'm not even nowhere close to the platform that McElroy or Josh Pate are at. But those guys, who have keys to the program have said the same thing. I mean, I was going to do, maybe I'll probably do this like, maybe as we get closer to this A-Day practice or after A-Day, but I feel like we know the starters at every single position now for the most part. There's a couple, like I can name them all and let's do it. I mean, wide receiver, you got Xavier. Isaiah Horton, right wide receiver, Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams at the slot, Josh Cuevas at tight end. Left tackle is going to be Caden Proctor. Right tackle is going to be Wilcom Formby. I don't know about the guard position. Right guard will be Jaden Roberts and then Parker Brailsford. So you have a competition at the left guard position, in my opinion. There's your entire offense. That wasn't challenging at all. Ty Simpson, quarterback. Jam Miller, running back. Second running back, Richard Young. That is a dangerous offense. You figure out the left guard position, and, obviously we're hoping that Wilcom Formby takes steps forward, which we haven't heard one negative thing about him. That offense sounds dangerous. I have heard from a source very close to the program that one thing that really separates Ty right now at this point in time and what is going to make the offense dangerous is that he's been displaying this spring a high level of accuracy within that short intermediate window. That's from somebody who is like 100% dialed in. Roll Tide, what's up, man? I appreciate you. Kyle, do you think with Grubb being at DeBoer's side this year that DeBoer may be more open to pull non-productive QB and play someone else? Yeah, I feel that Kalen DeBoer is going to already has more confidence because Ryan Grubb has so much of a command on the offense. And those guys have so much history of winning games together. And Ryan Grubb, man, he hasn't even hit his pinnacle of coaching. I think he's a head coach in waiting, just like you guys do, I'm sure. He'll have a hell of a plan in place for this offense. And now that the tracks are laid, that's something that Ryan Grubb keeps talking about, the fact that the tracks are laid. He comes in, plays the quarterback that is best suited for the job. Right now, it seems like it's Ty Simpson. You have all these weapons to work with. You have a hell of a good running back game. You know who else that Ryan Grubb mentioned in this interview was Kevin Riley. A lot of people haven't spoken. Like, when we talk about the running back room, it's more focused on Jam and Richard Young, and we'll throw in like Daniel Hill. But Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb have each mentioned Kevin Riley, which I think is dope. Kind of the shiftiness that he brings. Ooh, I like that. I'll take that, B-Rob. 525. Yeah, I love it. Ricky Smith says, yeah, Grubb will be a good head coach. 100%. I think at some point in time, hopefully it's not after this season. I've asked this before. How long do you think someone like Ryan Grubb stays in Tuscaloosa? A lot of people feel it's going to be 2 years. I feel if Ryan Grubb stays 2 years, he can pretty much go anywhere that he wants. He'll take over a major, major program. And same thing if he left after this year, but I think if he really showcases that him and Coach Kalen DeBoer have this proven method and Alabama jumps in the playoffs, wins a national title, whatever, which I think is realistic, then he can pretty much go everywhere that he wants, anywhere that he wants. And I think the unfortunate thing about Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer, and this could be like the future breakup, which I think will be hard for everybody to deal with, but it's true. And when you look to the future, is that since these guys have so much continuity and it's all kind of one coaching staff that has been together for a long time, it'll break apart, right? Ryan Grubb will take, Jamarcus Shepard, Nick Sheridan will stay with Kalen DeBoer, but that's all future. Don't worry about it now. Stay in the present. You got a really good thing going right now here in Tuscaloosa. War Never Changes says, calling it now, Ty Simpson would be the dark horse for the Heisman. Wouldn't that be something, man? Comes in and just absolutely slices it up. It reminds me of the whole Mac Jones season. Like, Ryan Grubb was saying he's been here before and they've seen that with the quarterback competition. We've seen that too. We've seen a quarterback competition, and we've seen a guy that not a lot of people wanted to be the quarterback come in and slice people up. That was Mac Jones. When the Iowa job opens, oh man, I don't know. I wouldn't want to coach at Iowa. I lived in Iowa. Anyone ever been to Pella? I liked Pella. It was cool. It just wasn't for me. I lived in Pella for a year. Pella Windows, anyone? The Dutch, yeah. Went out to play at like Wartburg, Co. What were some other schools that I remember up there? It was cold. Living in Iowa was freezing. Sully462 chimes in and says, yeah, I remember how a lot of people were crapping on Mac Jones before the 2020 season. Everybody. There was a lot of people. And that dude came in as the most dialed quarterback and just sliced everyone up. It's probably what's going to happen with Ty Simpson. Hey, Brett, what's up? We see you inside the comment box, man. Left out Graceland? I don't know what you're referring to there. Chris, what's up, man? Appreciate you being here. Here's a quarterback room as it stands right here. I added this up top. If Alabama played Florida State Saturday. I always like to do that, like going into Saturday. What would it look like? Ty Simpson, number 1. Austin Mack, number 2. Keelan Russell, number 3. There is a ranking. It might not be public, but there is a ranking. This happens at high-level football programs everywhere. Oh, Graceland is in Iowa? Oh, I didn't know that. I guess I didn't make it. I thought you were talking about, like, Graceland, like where the king is from. Dave, what's up, man? Coming to us from Sylacauga. Javion inside the comment box says he thinks Ryan and Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State for Heisman finalists. Man, those two, I can't believe those two are freshmen this past year. All right. You know what I was thinking? So it was kind of like, I'm cruising around, I'm looking at different things, and I saw, I keep up with War Chant. That's the Florida State site. One of the things that's cool is if you're a member of On3, you get to look at other websites' message boards, which I think is cool. I don't know if that exists for all of them. But I've always been a big fan of War Chant. War Chant has, they're so amazing. Those guys, Bama Online, are like incredible organizations. But there's some former names that we're familiar with at Florida State now, right? I know Roydell Williams, running back, right? Hueytown. Who still likes Roydell Williams? I do. I loved Roydell Williams. So he decided to come back after an injury last season. So he'll be their starting running back. Gus Malzahn, remember him? He's their offensive coordinator. And then Earl Little Jr., right? Remember him? He left from Alabama to Florida State. He'll be playing, I guess it's like, they call it the rover. It's kind of like the Husky type position. He's an extra corner out on the field that's a versatile corner that can come play up on the run. He was playing safety before, but I feel that, I mean, this is an easy question, but we got to think that Florida State is going to be much better than they were last year. I would imagine Costellos is Castellanos, right? Quarterback. That from Boston College, I would imagine he's much better than DJ. I mean, if Roydell Williams said that he's 215 pounds, I listened to the interview. Ooh, this is interesting. Jordan is saying that Roydell was better than Jam. That's it. That's interesting. Roydell was a good running back. I feel that, like Jace, because you had Jace and Roydell. I think they were each fine running backs. But I like Roydell. I like his running style. Jam's a good running back, though, man. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this, Jordan. It made me think, though. I'm thinking about it. Roydell's good, man. So I don't know. Look, they got Deuce Robinson. They have a couple other, pieces that they added. I think it's actually going to be a lot tougher game than people maybe want to admit, Mike Norvell had a terrible year last year. He got himself what I feel is a good offensive coordinator. All right, Jason settled it for us. Jason's like, Roydell is not better than Jam. You know, one of the things that I think sets Jam apart, too, is the fact that he catches the football so well out of the backfield. Jamie, what's up, man? Good to see you, bro. Chance says Roydell was better at the time because he was like a redshirt senior. Yeah, and Southern Red chimes in that, loving Roydell. I liked him too. The only thing is the running backs that you had that were coming in, it seemed like he kind of got pushed out because he wasn't going to get on the field. And then unfortunately, he got hurt at Florida State this last season, so he's coming back for an extra year. Hey, Jay Mega, what's up, man? Joining us from the comment box and says, people keep talking about Milroe was a bad quarterback, not realizing he went through multiple offensive coordinators over the past year. Dio said the same thing about Jalen Hurts, and then he went on to be great. I've talked about that a lot, too. When we talk about Jalen Milroe, and the same thing you could say for Ty Simpson, because Ty Simpson, now being here for so long, he's went through a bunch of offensive coordinators as well. And we'll never know this if, I don't know, somehow like Steve Sarkisian stays under the radar. AJ Milwee, another guy who developed quarterbacks. Alex Mortensen, another guy that developed quarterbacks. If all those guys stay with Milroe and Ty Simpson and keep developing those quarterbacks, how good are they, when this past season? Milroe regressed 1,000,000%. I agree with that 100%. But think about it. Ty and Jalen Milroe, I think this is fact, okay? I also think that the offensive coordinator since Steve Sarkisian, we've taken steps backwards every single year. Bill O'Brien, 2 consecutive years. Tommy Rees, 1 consecutive year. I get it. Tommy Rees is going to be a great coach. He just got elevated to the Browns OC, right? He almost was North Carolina's head football coach before Bill Belichick. And Nick Sheridan. Look, Kalen DeBoer loves Nick Sheridan. He's going to get there too. But those guys, it was going the other way. Ryan Grubb instantly, I think brings you back to 2019, 2020 instantly. That's a big statement, what I just said. But if you look at the numbers, 2019, 2020, and you compare them against the last 3 seasons, the offense has sputtered. You haven't had a 3,000-yard quarterback. You haven't had a 1,000-yard running back. You barely had a 1,000-yard wide receiver. 2018, 19, 20, compared to the last 3 seasons, oh my goodness, it's not even close. Ooh, I like this though. Cam W is like, well, Bryce Young still produced under Bill O'Brien. That's true. That was that 2021 team. That was kind of the last year of those like elite wideouts, right? Doug, thank you. Doug just like, thank you, Doug. I know, man. We try to move away from it. It always comes back somehow. It's crazy. Danny knows. Let me just ask you, going to the front, and if you're asking like what he said, as I said earlier, if there's an interview on Yale, Alabama, there's nothing like earth-shattering, okay? But if you're into like consuming every single piece of information, then checking out the interview is worth it. It's Yale, Alabama. It's like a sit down with Ryan Grubb. He high points these 3 top. Well, there's like 6 or 7 topics. Some of them are a little bit stale. 3 of them are pretty good. Talks about the quarterback development and what they did at 2022 at Washington when they were in the exact same situation. Talked about the continuity with the coaching staff this year, and then talked about hit on a couple running backs and said that and explained why it's important to recruit your own players on your roster. But let me ask you this. Straight up, do you think that Alabama takes a major step forward because this guy, that Ryan Grubb is simply here, or do you think it's kind of more they take a step forward because the defensive returners? I think it's this guy. I think Ryan Grubb being back with the staff, and I don't know if Alabama would have even been much better with Ryan Grubb last year. Maybe. I don't know. They had to lay those tracks. Last year was going to be a bumpy year, I guess, no matter how we went through it. Steve Need, what's up, man? Appreciate you being here. Crimson Angel, it's like, I hope it's a step forward. Bill O'Brien. Who's the biggest villain? Who's a bigger villain? Let me ask you. Who's a bigger villain? Pete Golding or Bill O'Brien? Type P for Pete or B for Bill O'Brien. Who is the biggest villain out of those two? I think I might say, oh man, I don't know. I think I'm going to say Pete Golding cautiously. All right. Crimson Angel's like, let's be real. Pete Golding and Bill. All right. War Number Changes says, I think Ryan Grubb plays on our strengths more and has ability to see advantage. Yeah, 100%. Plus, putting Ryan Williams in the slot is going to be absolutely crazy. All right. A lot of people saying Bill O'Brien. This is pretty. That would have been a hell of a poll question. I think it would have been like 50-50. We got some P's in here for Pete Golding as well. That's hilarious, though, to think about those two. Coach Saban loved Pete Golding. He did. He gave him a hell of an opportunity. He kept him here for a while. You know who I like, too, from the past coaching staffs is Kevin Steele. But I don't know if Kevin Steele, it seemed like Coach Saban in that final year took over calling the defense. What's up, Fred? Leonard chiming in. Nicholas says, Ty Simpson is going to be awesome at quarterback. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, that's going to be a great story if turns out that Ty runs the table here, has a really good season. He's a quality dude. Really good quarterback. If you go back and watch some of the throws that he's had, like an A-Day, the games I look for Ty, Kentucky and Wisconsin, and I think it was the first A-Day that he was here. The Kentucky game, you could see he was taking major steps forward. Wisconsin, he worked that intermediate passing game that we're like obsessed about. He was hitting Caleb Odom a couple times. I think he got absolutely tagged too one time. He got sacked, and then I think people talk about his speed. He scored a couple touchdowns in A-Day, and then when he dropped the ball right before the end zone. I like to play against Mercer, but people get mad about that one because they're like, well, it was against Mercer. The play where he like ducked out, chopped his feet, and then launched it downfield. That was a dope play. So here we stand going into another practice, which is just about to end, and then you have a scrimmage on Friday. Things that I'm looking forward to seeing real quick in this second scrimmage is clearly the quarterback situation. Can Ty Simpson continue to command this offense? We really need him to. How are the other quarterbacks faring, right? What are we hearing from them? I'd like to hear a little bit about the running backs. Haven't really heard how the running backs fared in the scrimmage. We don't know how the scrimmage is exactly taking place, and Coach Kalen DeBoer mentions that guys are limited, so I don't know what that means, how much they can really scrimmage against each other. I want to hear the left guard, if anything, who's making waves at the left guard. On the defensive side, maybe who's becoming, if there is like an alpha right now in spring, or are we going to have to wait till we get to the fall for Deontay Lawson to get back and be healthy? I don't know. But it sounds like some of these younger linebackers are getting an opportunity to eat, right? Abdul Sanders, Caden Jones, QB Reese. We've been able to talk about those guys who will be kind of on that second tier once Justin Jefferson, Deontay Lawson, and, of course, Nakai Hill-Green. Those guys are the first-tier linebackers. But I appreciate you guys watching today. Thanks for rocking with me on today's show. What to look for today, depending on the footage that we get from the University of Alabama, I'll upload it here. And if there are some highlights, I'll walk you through it with some commentary. If there's a player interview, we'll add that as well. We'll tie it all together. Keep your head on a swivel, too, for the basketball transfer portal. I know Coach Oates and company, they're being very aggressive following Monday's gigantic land of Noah Williamson from the transfer portal. That was fantastic. So you need some other components, and I'm curious to see what happens with the LeBaron Philon if he goes to the NBA. I would think he does. Maybe they can keep him. If you keep him, Holloway, you get the big man, Noah Williamson. You get Mo Diabate, Ricel. He's back. A couple other guys. Clearly they're going to be, a top 10 team next year as well. Maybe bring in a bigger guard. But thanks for rocking with me. Stay where your feet are. Stay blessed. Enjoy this beautiful thing called life. It's a beautiful 75 degrees here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. As news happens, I got you covered. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the super chats. Other ways to fan the show. We got Venmo, Cash App. You guys being here is grateful. I have a lot of gratitude for you guys just being here. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama on this fine April 2nd. Kyle Anderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I will see you guys. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time right here on Bama Football on